You are exactly where you need to be to get to where you want to be. It doesn't matter what the situation is right now. That's our starting point. This is where we need to be to start that journey to get to where we want.
Welcome to the Bucket List Life Podcast with Trav Bell, the world's #1 bucket list expert. Bucket List Life's mission is to help you get off the treadmill, stop Groundhog Days, hack your habits, and live a regret-free life. Because we know life's way too short not to live your bucket list life. So please welcome your host, Trav Bell, the Bucket List Guy.
Hey Bucket Listers, welcome to another episode of the Bucket List Life Podcast, and this is a real special one. It's our second try at trying to do this, admittedly, because the first one, well, you'll understand why, because this guy, my guest, Mark Herbst, is currently in the midst of a world record. Yes, a world record. And the internet has been questionable. So, and like I said, you'll understand why in a second. Guys, Mark Herbst, stoked to have you on, mate. Here we go.
Thanks, Trav.
Game on. Now, where are you at the moment?
Right now, I'm in Esperance. I pulled in here late yesterday afternoon.
Where are you from originally?
I am originally from Canada, so about 2.5 hours north of Toronto, where it's nice and cold right now.
I'll be actually in Toronto in the 7th of March, under a month. So it's never been to Canada before. I'm speaking in Hamilton.
I think you'll love it.
Yeah. How cold, just for my information, not anyone else's, how cold would it be on the 7th of March?
Throw the dirt.
Am I wearing this or am I wearing flip-flops?
Probably not flip-flops. That would be an outside chance, but that time of year, we're waiting for spring, and it could be anywhere from -30 to +5.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I'm taking beanies, I'm taking gloves, I'm taking real cold weather gear. All right, so we got snow.
You're taking everything. If you take everything for the cold, it'll be nice and warm.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good way to put it. Mate, what are you doing?
What am I doing?
What are you doing?
I'm doing two things.
You're in Australia right now.
Two things.
Canada, what are you doing right now? Let the listeners and watchers know, because this is freaking amazing.
So I've got two things going on here. I'm cycling around the world, and I'm trying to break the record for the oldest person to cycle around the world. The second thing is I'm raising funds and awareness for the fight against cancer. And during this venture, I've got a project where I'm trying to raise money for Princess Margaret Hospital, which is one of the top 5 research hospitals in the world.
Wow, very cool. Raising money and riding around the world. When did you start? Where did you start? And I'm going to dig into the logistics. How old are you?
How old am I? I am 68. I will be 69 when I complete this.
Right. So I know now what I'm doing on my 70th birthday. So what's the previous record holder's age?
56. He's an Irishman, and he's 56 years old.
And he did it when he was 56. And you're 68.
Yes.
That's a massive...
I was actually surprised, it was one of those things I looked up. Yeah, I looked it up, and I thought I was kind of expecting the guy to be 80, and I saw this, and I'm going, wow. But, as I get into it, I go, okay, I can kind of see why.
Wow. Yeah, if you'll come out as 120 after you're done. Well, in fact, what you're about to do across Australia, like the Nullarbor Plain, yeah, that's crazy. So anyway, we'll dig into that. Look, so where did you start? Where do you finish to have it be officially around the world? Like for a Guinness Book of World Records, they're big on their rules of what qualifies, what doesn't. So I'm interested in where's the start, where's the finish, and what does around the world look like?
Yeah, they definitely have their rules. So around the world, it has to be just under 30,000 kilometers. It has to be in the same direction. So I go in either west to east or east to west the entire time.
Yep.
It has to start and stop in the same place. So I started in Bangkok on January the 7th, And so I have to end up back in Bangkok. And my plan is to end up back in Bangkok kind of the beginning of November. And then it also has to go through what they call 2 antipodal points. So if you can picture the world, the globe, and you drive a rod through the center of the earth, where that rod comes out on either side of the globe, you have to go through those 2 points. So my points are Wanganui, New Zealand, and then some little village outside of Madrid in Spain. So I have to ride my bike through those 2.
That's effectively your pole to pole, because you can't do the South Pole
Correct.
to North Pole. So
That's right.
Yeah. So, and I was telling someone about this just before, like, why doesn't he just go up to the South Pole and then just get on a unicycle and go around the pole? And I'm like, that's pretty creative. Hats off to you. And then he's gone around the world. Yep. I think there's some sort of pole to pole thing where he's got to start, so that's interesting. So you've driven your pole to pole, so to speak, through Spain, and it pops out in Bangkok.
It pops out in Wanganui, New Zealand.
Sorry, New Zealand. So that's...
Yeah, Bangkok was starting and finishing.
Right. So you don't have to stay at the same latitude, longitude, or anything like that.
No, you do to a degree, but there's only so much you can do when you've got that much body of water in between.
Yeah. Any rules on planes, trains, and automobiles?
Yes, there is. You've got that minimum rule of just under 30,000 kilometers to get around, but then there has to be, there's another number that includes the planes, trains, automobiles. So I have to keep track of any time I hop on a plane or a ferry and deduct those from the total mileage to end up with that 30,000.
Wow. Okay, cool. So take me through the starting Bangkok, finishing Bangkok. Look, what are the countries? What's kind of like, if we're imagining a map right now, what does your route look like?
Route?
Yeah.
So I started off in Bangkok, went down through Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, hopped on my first plane to Perth, and then worked my way down to Esperance now. Now, tomorrow I start heading up to Norseman, and then from Norseman across the Nullarbor, ending up in Sydney. From Sydney, I go to the South Island of New Zealand, ride up to Auckland, hop on a plane, fly to Los Angeles, and I'm going to follow basically Route 66 across the U.S. into Canada to the east coast of Canada. From there, I fly to Lisbon, Portugal, and then go through Portugal, Spain, France, Italy, Bosnia, Croatia, Montenegro, Greece, Upper Macedonia, Georgia, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan again, and then back to Bangkok.
Wow. That'll be pretty gnarly going through the stands.
Yes.
Where do you think the most challenging terrain will be? From cyclist to cyclist, where's the most elevation? Where do you think, the weather's going to be hazardous? Maybe even visa issues?
Yeah, it's interesting because it depends upon the viewpoint at the moment. I mean, Thailand was challenging because I was just so hard to find somebody that spoke English. So that was, but you work it out. From a vertical climbing standpoint, certainly through the Alps is going to be crazy. Like if you add up the mileage that I'm going to be climbing, it is equivalent to doing Mount Everest 28 times. So it's like 250 kilometers. It's some crazy number than that. But the ones that, you can kind of grind your way across, you have to get off once in a while and push the bike, which I hate doing, but when you've got that weight on, you have to sometimes. But I think the ones that concern me the most is one that's coming up in 2 days where I'm leaving Norseman and crossing the Nullarbor in the heat. There's a couple of sections that are 200 kilometers without water. I'm really concerned. Like, I cannot stress enough how much this is stressing me, but I'm really concerned that And then the other section would be through the stands because it's a similar type of terrain where you've got, hundreds of kilometers without any support.
Yeah, the Nullarbor Plain is in Australia is it's hard enough just driving along that. And at the end of the day, so you're on from memory, you're on a gravel bike, right? So versus a road bike or a TT bike, a triathlon, sort of setup. Describe to people who don't know what a gravel bike is and what you're carrying on that too.
Yeah, so gravel bike, if to the uninitiated, a gravel bike is going to look a lot like a road bike. The geometry of the frame is pretty similar. What it does, though, is allows you to put on some wider tires. So the wider tires gives you a little bit more control in sand and gravel. You're not stuck on pavement all the time. It's a little bit more forgiving that way. And it also allows me to carry a bit more weight. So my bike with my packs, I've got 3 on the back, 1 in the frame, and then 1 on the front, and that's an extra. I think that feels a lot more, but you think it's about an extra 50 pounds that I'm hauling on that. And then you pull in the Nullarbor carrying water, that doubles the weight right there.
Yeah. So the longest stretch along the Nullarbor without any water is 200 kilometers.
Correct. There's 2 of those.
So you go in like a 200K ride, you could kind of do that as a training ride on a weekend. 180K is what you do in an Ironman, a full Ironman. So, that's 5-6 hours, 180K, 5-6 hours is normally that leg if you're going pretty quick. So that's one day, right? 200Ks you could do in one day. Are you planning on doing it in one day on a gravel? That's one day. That's 5-6 hours on a full-on aerodynamic drop-down aero bars, light as a feather situation.
Yeah, it's
how we breaking up that.
I keep thinking that too, right? It's just like, that's my road bike. That's like a nice day's ride.
Yeah,
and but then I think, okay, wait a second, I've got a little bit of extra weight here. So that's probably going to slow me down about 20%. I've got the heat, which is going to slow you down about another 20% because you just cannot work as hard because your heart rate's going to go through the roof. And then if you start throwing dehydration on top of that, and God forbid there's a headwind, so if I'm out on my road bike, I'm typically doing 30 to 34 kilometers an hour. All things equal, I don't have a headwind. I'm fortunate enough to be doing 15 to 20 kilometers an hour with this gear on. So it's 200-kilometer day is a big ask.
That's huge. And I'm actually looking at, so when do you leave?
Yeah, so I leave, so today's Saturday, tomorrow, Monday I get to Norseman, and then Tuesday, my plan is to start across.
Tuesday. I'm looking at the weather here because I'm a surfer, so I look at the weather every day, and it's good thing is you naturally got the wind behind you naturally.
I hope so.
Because
I got a cyclone warning yesterday, so
the predominant wind prevails from west, blows from west to east. So hopefully you've got a tailwind. Hopefully.
That would be so
summer,
nice.
But it is summer here in Australia.
Yes.
And we get a lot of easterlies in summer. So it's like, which blows in the opposite direction. Either way.
Yeah. The wind is crazy here.
Yeah.
The wind is absolutely crazy. I head out and I go, oh, yeah, baby, I got a tailwind here. And then 10 minutes later, it's a headwind and I haven't changed direction.
Well, welcome to, Perth is its own ecosystem. What's your sleeping arrangement? Like you're obviously in a hotel room or a house there. So what's your sleeping arrangement when you're doing this? How does that figure it out? How much rough sleeping versus not rough sleeping are you doing?
Yeah, it's so the last it's really hit and miss. Like the Nullarbor, that whole section, I anticipate 90% of it's going to be in my tent, and whereas up to this point, I probably half the time has been spent on my tent. So I've got a 2-man tent. I've got my sleeping bag, my sleeping pad, anything that needs to be to keep me comfy in the tent, which is actually nice and cozy at night. I do enjoy it.
And what are you doing food-wise?
I have been grabbing it as I go. I take a look at, say, okay, where's the next place I'm going to get food? And then grab, what I think I'm going to need for that. Food is so bulky. It really is. It has more weight and it doesn't last long. And you can only, stuff so many meat pies in you as you're riding along too. So.
Well, the meat pies alone will probably get you there. And what have you found to be the best kind of food, to do this with? If you're gonna, and are you carrying food or are you just going from stop to stop?
I usually try to carry about 2 days' food with me, and it's kind of an in-case type of thing. But they're just, pretty basic noodles, oatmeal, that type of thing. Anything I can get some calories in. I'll throw a can of tuna in there to get some protein. As I'm going from stop to stop, though, it's usually like I'll stop. I'll have coffee. You do have awesome coffee here. I'll grab a coffee. I'll grab a chocolate milk. I'll grab a meat pie, and I'll grab a bun or a carrot cake.
High sugar, high fat, high salt that you can get.
Yeah. Which is, I think I've lost 15 pounds since I started. So like I just went on this madman thing where I'm like stuffing everything I can in me.
Yeah. Are you tracking calories actually? Have you got you're tracking calories and how many calories you're burning each day?
I think it's probably somewhere between 5,000 to 7,000 calories a day that I'm burning.
Wow. And that's a lot of food to put back in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look, you haven't just woken up and gone down the bike shop and grabbed a gravel bike and went, let's have a crack at this. I mean, you've got a history of Ironman racing, race across Americas, like what's the history there?
Yeah, it's just, I've been a competitive athlete since grade school, late in grade school. I certainly wasn't at the beginning. I was just totally the opposite. But, I grew up swimming through high school. I went to university. I was on varsity rowing team. And then after university, I started doing triathlons, got into those. And then the triathlons got me involved into cycling, which I just love. And I always seem to go, cycling, triathlon, cycling. And I always seem to come back to cycling again. Yeah. It's just something I really enjoy. The same feeling I had when I got my first tricycle, which I remember, I think I was like 23 or something.
Yeah. Now, awesome. And the race across Americas, what's that all about?
So race across America,
but like you can do that solo, you can do it with the team. I haven't dug right into it, but it's always fascinated me. Where do you go? Where do you start and where you finish with that?
Yeah, so Race Across America is a very different kind of beast. It's a race. It's 5,000 kilometers. Starts in Oceanside, just north of San Diego, and crosses the U.S. and finishes up in Annapolis, Maryland. So 5,000 kilometers. It's a fully supported ride, in that you have to have a crew that takes all your stuff with you. But you can do it in teams of 8-man, 4-man, 2-man, or you can do it solo.
Yep,
I've done it. Solo once, 2-man twice, and 4-man once. And have been fortunate enough as 2-man that we've won the overall 2-man twice as well. So
oh, wow.
It's a sleep deprivation race. I mean, you're on your bike. If it's solo, you're on your bike 21 hours a day to be competitive. And 2-man, you're 12 hours a day.
And how many days would that take you?
When we broke the record for the 2-man, we did it in 6 days, 23 hours.
How much sleep did you get?
About an hour and a half a day.
Wow.
Yeah, by the time you get off and you clean up and you have something to eat and then fall asleep and then wake up again and get back on the bike, it's about an hour and a half a day.
Oh, I think that's some sort of form of torture in Guantanamo, isn't it? I mean, sleep deprivation, interrogation.
Truly, it truly is. It's ugly.
Oh my God,
it really is.
But that's what it takes to, and a lot of people enter that, right?
Oh yeah. There's a lot of people entered. Probably about a third don't make it.
Yeah, right. Wow. So the big question is, why are you doing this, Mark? That's the big one. It's all well and good to get the bucket list tick, and it's extremely inspirational too. Let's not gloss over that. But there's a higher calling for you, and why you're doing this.
Yeah.
What's your reason, man? Because you're going to have to draw on that, right?
Yeah. It's, there isn't, I wish I could say there's one thing, like it's like because it's there, whatever, something really witty that people remember, but it really isn't that. It's just like, what is it for each individual person? For me, there's a lot of different things. Obviously, there's a competitive side to me. I just like to see how much I can push myself, and it isn't necessarily about winning. It's winning for me. Like, what can I get out of it? There's a very personal aspect of it as well. My wife Jackie died 3 years ago from cancer, and it's a way of honoring her spirit and her memory and her zest for life, wanting so much to live. And anybody who has watched a loved one suffer and die and fight for every breath they get, they understand that, I think. So it's a way of honoring her and remembering that part of it. There's also something that for me personally, I kind of call it filling the void. And so, Jackie was such a gift to me. And I knew that. We both know, like, we were so blessed, and we tell each other all the time. But since she's been gone, it's, I'm still a happy guy, like, for the most part. Not my butt sore, but, like, I still joke around, I smile, I laugh, I get pleasure out of, little things in life and my family and that. But there's a big chunk that is gone. That was Jackie. And for me, it really is just doing stuff to kind of fill that hole, like just to give me something and I can give back, but just to try to fill that. So I'm not thinking about what's gone. I'm trying to remember the love that was left behind and not the love that was lost.
Wow, that's yeah. Hey, podcast team, can you guys just clip that statement right there? I love that. Put it on the socials. I love that statement. Totally. What would she say about you doing this?
She'd go, "What are you thinking?"
You can quit.
But you know what? She would say, first of all, she'd tell me I'm nuts.
Yeah.
But then she'd say, "Look, if you want to do it, I'm fully behind you and I'll support you in whatever way I can."
Love it. Well, she is really. What are most other 68-year-olds doing, man? That you know of?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm fortunate and I know a few that are like very still active in triathlons and things like that. But I'll tell you, when I'm out there and I see people and I'm talking to them and, they ask me how old I am and then they tell me how old they are. And I go, whoa, it's just like, get out there and do something.
Well, on that, what would your advice be to people who are, possibly on the treadmill of life and, they're not, out there challenging themselves? You don't have to be a Mark Herbst here, like you don't have to be Superman, but what would your advice to be, because people are dying at 40 and being buried at 80. There's a lot of people who've given up. They're in the rut, Well, they say a rut is a grave with the ends kicked out. And
wow, yeah.
What would your advice be, to people who are a little bit older, above 40, 50, and they're feeling a bit stuck, a bit stale?
Yeah, challenge yourself, man. Like, just anything. Do something that's going to take you out of that comfort zone. I say, if you're not growing, you're dying. We are born with these incredible gifts of potential that we have. We have no idea the things that we can do, but most of us have mental and physical capabilities, that we can use to really enjoy life. And at some point, they're going to be gone. Like, I could step outside and get hit by a truck tonight. I could have a heart attack, and they'll be gone. And I'll look back, and I'll go, wow, it's like I had all this stuff and I didn't use it. Challenge yourself. It can be anything. It doesn't have to be physical, but it can be mental. Learn a language, learn a musical instrument, get off the couch, walk around the block. It's like people don't get up and say, I'm going to run a marathon tomorrow, and they've been sitting in front of the TV for 20 years. They go, I'm going to try to walk around the block, and then I'm going to walk around 2 blocks. It's just challenging yourself that little bit, and the rewards are amazing. We are capable of so much.
Yeah, it's a case of you don't use it, you lose it. Both physical capacity, mental capacity. And I want everyone, watching and listening to this right now is, it doesn't have to be a world record. It doesn't have to be a cycling thing. It's just what is that thing that's going to get you? And it's just you against you. It's not you against, we're not falling into comparisonitis here. We're not suffering from that. It's just you against you. What can you do to challenge yourself? And I've always said, and I'm sure you've heard this before, guys, and yourself, Mark, you're living it. On the other side of your bucket list is a you that you don't know yet. That's the bigger version of you. That's, again, the person that you don't know yet. So if you don't use this example and all the other bucket list examples that we've given over the years, I've been doing this for 15 years, and we have to challenge our own identity, challenge that comfort zone, unbelieve that story that we've led ourselves to believe is why we can or cannot do something, right? Take Mark's example and get curiously excited about the bigger version of you that exists on the other side. Because when you get to experience your own potential at a bigger level, it puts a smile on your face. Gives you a sense of fulfillment, meaning and purpose maybe. And so curiously excited, write that one down. What are you going to be, how are you going to get curiously excited about your life today, this week, this year, etc.? Do you want to add to that, mate?
Absolutely. I have a saying doing a motivational talk at one point, and I was trying to kind of come up with a theme in that. And suddenly I was actually out on my bike where a lot of my best thinking is done. But I've come up with this thing. Sometimes when I say it, people look at me like I've got lobsters growing on my head. They go, what? But you are exactly where you need to be to get to where you want to be. It doesn't matter what the situation is right now. That's our starting point. This is where we need to be to start that journey to get to where we want.
Yeah, beautiful.
And I truly believe that.
Yeah, and whether it be hanging around new people, I was just having coffee with a friend before, and I found myself saying, what got you here won't get you to the next place. You've got to make different choices. Maybe we need to hang around different people. We need to go in a different direction, whatever that might be. But what got you here won't get you to that next place. If you want to elevate your life, you want to live your version of your bucket list, we've got to make different choices. So that's why I do this podcast and bring guests like Mark on, just to really re-inspire you to start asking yourself questions, so you can expand this human experience. That's what it's all about. Mate, how do people get in contact with you? How can they follow your journey and, donate and, give us the rundown of that, buddy?
Yeah, so I do have a social media site, and hopefully you can post that up for me.
Yep.
But if you look at Instagram, it's just Mark's Epic Ride, and they'll come up with links to my Instagram, to my Facebook, my email. People can track me. I'm tracking on Strava, Ride with GPS. I do postings every day that a wizard back home actually does the post for me because I'm terrible at that kind of stuff. And, it can be anything. Support is like, I look at where I am right now. Somebody's opened up their house for me so I can get a decent night's sleep and do some laundry. I mean, that was fantastic. If you see me crossing the Nullarbor, stop, have sympathy on me, give me some water and food, please. But there's also a site on my, a link on my site that if people want to donate to Princess Margaret, to the Cancer Research Hospital, I have a goal of $100,000 I'm hoping to hit. And, there is no amount that is too small. It adds up. It's the drop in the bucket.
So, guys, I'm just showing right now. That's Mark on Instagram. That's where I hang mostly. Mark's Epic Ride. He says he's currently in Australia. So good job on the update. And if you click through the blue link there, you'll see all those links sort of populate there, and we can donate there to conquer cancer, follow the journey, the Facebook page, right? Mark's story, etc., etc. So guys, get behind Mark. This is a weird one, right?
I'm a weird one, or the project's a weird one?
Because it's not every day I get someone on here who's got the courage enough to do what you're doing, man. So I'm going to be really honest. I'm jealous, and I'm literally going to lock in my 70th birthday. If someone else hasn't taken it, this is 20 years away. I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep your story hush hush, just so no one else breaks it. Is that? No, I want my community, the bucket list community, to get behind Mark right now. Let's donate. Let's give him a follow. Let's share his content. That's what it's all about. It's for a great cause. And Mark, we wish you all the best, buddy. Thanks for jumping on here pre-Nullarbor, buddy.
Thanks, Trav. I really appreciate it.
It could be a different story. Awesome, man. Hey, guys, look, that's the Bucket List Live podcast. You know what to do, whether you're watching this on YouTube. If you are, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so many to all of you who have subscribed on YouTube. That we're about to go to a whole other level on YouTube. So just watch this space over the next couple of weeks. But like it, subscribe, share it, copy it, send it to a mate who needs some inspiration. That's what it's all about. And if you're on the socials, do the same. Share it a lot. Push the like button, the love button, whatever platform you're on. You know what to do. So, guys, until next time, Bucket List Life out. Thanks.
Thanks so much for listening to the Bucket List Life podcast with the world's #1 bucket list expert, Trav Bell. For more great content, go to www.thebucketlistguy.com. We'll see you next time.